Welcome to the Commercial Property Podcast. My name is Suzi Carter. I am a chartered surveyor. I've been involved in commercial property in the UK for 30 years and I've done hundreds of commercial property deals. I'm here to be your guide through the commercial property market, whether you're an experienced investor or whether you're literally thinking about dipping your toe in the world of commercial real estate. I will be here talking to you about all kinds of things commercial real estate in the UK, and I've also got some fantastic guest experts who are joining me. So please do subscribe if you'd like to follow, and if you'd like any more help or information on commercial real estate, please do click www.suzicarter.com, which is my website, and you can find out all the ways I can help you. So stay tuned for this week's episode. Welcome back to the Commercial Property Podcast, and it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Mike Eilertsen from Meta-dology. Mike, thanks for joining me.
Oh, Suzi, what a pleasure it is to be part of your show. Cannot wait to chat about how exciting the space is and how there's so much change taking place. And great to be here.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, it is fantastic to have you. And I've heard so much about you. So it's the first time we've met. But I've got all my contacts in the property space are really buzzing with Meta-dology. So I'm really excited to find out more. But before we get going, Mike, could you just introduce yourself and give us a little intro into what Meta-dology is?
Absolutely. So it is, as you mentioned, Mike Eilertsen from Meta-dology.com. And we've really harnessed the age of AI and 3D scanning. And so what we've managed to do is that we can take any property project anywhere in the world, and in 72 hours, we can not only scan that entire development using Google satellites, but we can drag and drop the architect's plans into that environment. So you can instantly walk your entire property as if it was finished. You can see the views. You can see how the sun is going to affect every single room. What is the lighting? How far do the physics of the lighting roll out? You can play and change finishes, and yet you can experience all of that instantly in a single click from any device. No software required, no mobile application. So yeah, it's having a huge impact on the property space at every phase, from people beginning their projects and trying to envision what their development, their commercial office park, their project could look like, all the way to their go-to market, and really being able to capture the tenant, the business, the best layouts, the best overlay of what to do. So yeah, very exciting space to be in.
That is very, very cool. And I'm going to have a full disclosure now. I am a complete non-techie. So I'm going to be asking you questions from a really non-techie point of view. But hopefully that's good, because I'm sure that not all my listeners are techies as well. So give me a little bit about your background, Mike. Kind of how did you, what's your background and how did you kind of come up with this idea?
So Suzi, my background is everything but tech, like you, a very non-technical background, and I think that's the excitement about where this new era in technology is. Those barriers to entry have fallen away. But I started out all the way in South Africa selling coffee on the side of the road. Went on to gain the beverage rights from Nestle, AB InBev, Coca-Cola, and doing all these stadium and major functions, beverage dispensing. That grew on to growing the biggest luxury lifestyle magazine in the Southern Hemisphere and running events for major private institutions, big banks, Bentley, Cartier, and getting to that space, which really gave us the corporate grade and the corporate understanding, standards, deadlines, delivery, and how speed to market can really accelerate certain plays. And then discovered technology matter of factly. Got myself in a little bit of a cash flow hole in 2013, had a very short period of time to be able to come up with a relatively large number. I was overextended, having booked events, having paid for venues, and there was a bit of a cash crunch in the market at the time. So all the events were put in pause. And that is how I discovered tech, because there are very few industries that can do things very, very quickly, that can accelerate and have big billings behind them. And that was our first introduction to this. But what led us down the road is that I came across COVID hit, and obviously 2020. We came up with a new format to have online events that are extraordinary and that had 3D elements, and that was our first introduction to 3D. But we came across a deceased estate 2 years ago, and had 5 days to make a call on whether this venue could be transformed and what it could look like and what the art of the possible was in that. And then because we had such a limited time and AI was still breaking into this, we said, well, let's look at seeing how we could use it. And we came up with a way that was incredibly proprietary, that allowed us to use satellite scans, that allowed us to use environments that not only could we scan and see this venue, but within 5 days, we built exactly what it could look like. We worked with our architects, our civil engineers, and they did this all in record time. And it allowed us to see the art of the possible in that, and have now rolled it out globally. And the impact that it's had across the US, South America, all across Europe with governments and private sector, Africa, Australia has been staggering. So yeah, we're having a good time here.
Wow, that is very cool. And so you're using AI to do this stuff for you, and the
AI on the
satellites on.
100 AI on the one side, and then Susie, I think the real breakthrough in this is and gaming software. If you see what kids' games are, that's what brought us into this. We saw the realism our kids' games have in the games that they're playing now, the physics, the effects in that space. So we took gaming software, we came up with a way that people could access it with no installation or in a single click, so you could instantly go into these worlds, and then found a way that you could plug the AI in. And so the realism, it's indistinguishable. You could walk across around a property in its finished state and it's indistinguishable from real life. It's being used in movies, it's being used across Hollywood now. And that's what makes this the realism, and yet the ability to interact, that ability to change things, and the ability for that to instantly appear in its finished format makes this very, very innovative.
Yeah. I mean, as you're talking, the immediate, I mean, I can see this incredible use for sales, for selling commercial, selling big blocks, selling, letting properties. Because if you can visualize what it looks like with a tenant in there, because quite often we're letting commercial properties are a bit grotty, they need a bit of work doing to them. And we do some CGIs, but I mean, they're pretty, they look pretty artificial, but I can see this would be so much benefit.
So I'll give you, Susie, one of the perfect scenarios that explain what you just said. 2 years ago, a major medical company came to us and they needed to rent out their second, third, and fourth floor. And they had a limited time, it was 60 days, and they needed to get this rented so that they could do the build over the holidays. And in 10 days, first to give you context, there was broken desks everywhere, cables hanging from the ceiling, definitely not the type of thing that is going to excite a potential new tenant. And not only did we bring that all in days, literally took the architect's plans, dragged it in, took the surrounding area to tell the story. But you could have people now walk in on their mobile phone, on their laptop, anywhere in the world. One click, they were in the building. They could walk and explore it with the best furniture, the best layouts, but they could toggle between, show it to me as an open plan, show it to me as closed off, show it to me with a lot of a boardroom setting. And the irony is you could even toggle on one of the floors to a private residential. So you could not only see it in the commercial space, but you could see it if you wanted to go down the private residential, how it could look as studios. And then as you went through this and explored it, it would feed you what is the cost per square meter, what was the different layouts you could play, and you could interact and you could go through that. And the net result is not only did it get rented because people could fully experience and understand the art of the possible, but it went on, because the building had been scanned, it went on to become how they run their maintenance. It went on to host how they host their digital online events. So if they had an event that they wanted to host online, instead of just doing it online, they could now invite people to this digital twin that people could walk in and experience. And the ability to for them to leverage the model in terms of the management, the maintenance, the layout of different departments. So the department heads could plan out, oh, does this layout work? Oh no, we got more people now. How about this? And for them to all experience and to get that in record time, and to see that visualization with 100% clarity and the impact of it, yeah, the result spoke for itself.
Yeah, that is very cool. I mean, I can absolutely, having had like 30 years experience in that space, when you're an agent, it's quite soul destroying when you're showing potential tenants around broken desks and cables hanging from the
Yeah.
ceiling. Like, just imagine it looking nice, but you don't need to do that anymore, which is really cool. And I presume that that's really useful for getting planning permissions as well, because if a local
Uh,
authority or the planning authority can see, the impact of that on the high street, look inside. I mean, that's huge, isn't it?
Well, Susie, it actually works both ways. On the one side, you're getting in because you can pull in your zoning, you can pull in your utility grids, you can pull in your GIS information, your
Mm,
technical data. So before you knock through the wall, you can see where those cables are, or before you need to access the water pipes from the council, you can see exactly where they're in the ground. So the ability to get through zoning, because they're now not reading 20, 30 pages, that whole old saying, if a picture says 1,000 words, these
yeah,
models tell the story. They tell the whole
yeah.
story, and people can instantly ingest it while saying, "Oh, look here, they actually are below the building line. Oh, this is where," and being able to show that visually, and not just that you can walk it. You can click a button, you can fly into the sky, you can fly around the building, you can rip the roof off. So on the one side, the governments are loving it because it's getting and accelerating the decision-making process and allowing them to not only get sign off, but to also make that say, listen, can we ask for this change? And the change can happen in real time. But
Mm.
inversely, the governments are now bringing it in. Why? Because when they got their industrial zones, new urban planning, new revitalization projects, they can not only show it in what it looks like now, they can show it how it's going to look 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. And the governments are using it to get private sector investment, to mobilize other government departments. The governments are using it to speak to the communities. So instead of having a town hall with 400, 500 community members, now they can literally show everyone, show them the impact, show that it's only going to be uplifting the play. So it's impacting all facets, the communities, the private sector getting behind projects, and other government departments understanding the overall vision.
And I presume that if government's using it, that is an absolute imperative then for private developers to use it, because you need to understand what they're seeing and, almost kind of not beat them to it, but almost kind of like be on a parity with them so that you understand and, put things in that you want to do rather than get the government or local authorities to put it in for you.
Yeah, it's exactly right, because I think that they are suddenly warming up to this massively, even in their own internal board behind boardroom doors, closing in on what's happening. But we've seen the impact that it's having, accelerating approval processes that normally sometimes took 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, happening in 2, 3 days, and happening even where we can jump on a call and resolve anything in real time in that. So yes, I definitely think it's interesting seeing how both industries are going to be impacting and driving the output with the other one.
Yeah, and people listening to this, especially developers, will be delighted if there's something that speeds the planning process up, because obviously that's a huge source of frustration. If you're looking for a change of use or development, it's just not work at the moment in the UK. I'm sure there's exceptions to this rule, but just not working to commercial timeframes in
Yeah.
terms of not hitting planning targets. So if it speeds it up, then happy days.
But just on that, so the Barnsley local government, they've got an incredible rejuvenation project taking place there over the next 5, 10 years. So not only brought in to visualize what it looks like now, again through these scans, to showcase what it's going to look like 5 years and showcase 10 years down the line, but they're now are going to be using this model to now solicit other commercial investment where the hotels are, getting certain zoning rights accelerated because now everyone knows what it's going to look like. So they're using it to get the zoning that they want to achieve from the other government departments because they can see it better. And these accelerated zoning requirements now being simultaneously and in parallel working with the new hotel operators, with the new commercial breakthroughs and office parks. So again, allowing investors like the markets that you represent to get in early because now you've seen where they're going to go to, and you can see the return on investment that you're going to have in that area.
And that's in Barnsley, did you say, in Yorkshire?
Barnsley, we literally you
Yeah.
can. They've sent us all the information to redo. We're starting the scan at the end of the month to start bringing that element in, and again, and if you think of those little local governments already thinking like this. And
Mm.
that level of bigger thinking and that level of a technology adoption, I absolutely saluted them because they're paving the way from that side. But then the other hand, you've got the Copenhagen government on their new 29 railways looking because they had a 2.7 billion euro overrun on the first project, the second project 3.3, and the latest one 27 billion overrun on the M3. So we've been brought in to consolidate and to avoid those type of challenges. So it's not just local; it's the big guys as well. But yet, my favorite part about this is that you and I were discussing is that the fact that this changes it for everyone. The local investor who's buying a small commercial might be the first time they're getting involved, that don't have all the answers, and to not only arrive in and to come aboard with them almost as a partnership. So there's no outlaying of cash. There's no like we're going to eat into their cash flow. This is something where we partner on the upside. We provide the technology. We provide the technical know-how because they want to focus on the property. They want to focus on what they know and the development and getting those layouts correct. And yet we can bring the tech, the CRM, the data, the insights, the AI, the automations, and to bring in that and solve that. It's just it's a very effective way from all levels, small, medium, and large.
This episode is brought to you by Bond Finance Limited, your trusted partner for commercial property mortgage solutions. Are you an experienced residential property investor about to diversify into commercial property, looking for funding options? Bond Finance can help. Whether you're planning to expand, refinance, or make a major property investment, Bond Finance provides expert advice with access to a wide range of lenders, from high street to specialist. Book a free discovery session today to explore how we can tailor commercial funding solutions to your unique investment strategy. Visit www.bondfinanceltd.co.uk and take the next step in your commercial finance journey.
Yeah, very cool. It sounds like the government should bring you on an HS2 because I don't know whether you're familiar with HS2, big infrastructure project, railways project. I think it's doubled in cost over the last however many years. So yeah, sounds like that might be a low hanging fruit. But yeah, no, you're right. I think kind of as you're talking, my brain cells are kind of whirring because yeah, I think. Sometimes we don't have the imagination when we're looking at buildings to actually work out what it could be used for. And if we don't have the imagination, then our end tenants or maybe even other owners won't have that too. So I can absolutely see the use for regeneration projects. Like that's just seems like a no-brainer. Obviously grant funding applications from government. That's got to be a huge competitive advantage. But as you say, like with smaller commercial projects, for people listening to this, if you're not on the scale of, regeneration or, big warehouse projects or railways or whatever, then, genuinely like being able to put this on the letting particulars or the sale particulars, having that vision of what it might look like converted, like it's so, I can really see the commercial use for it.
But Susie, that's only the first step of it. Not only does it get um, the tenant in foster and allow them to come from a far broader catchment base, because it's now not about can I get to site to have a look first. I can. It's not like I'm getting 24 images at a gallery that doesn't tell the story. You're walking around every inch of the building. You're ripping the roof off. You're exploring it at your leisure from every angle. But outside of that, now that you've increased that catchment area of who that tenant could potentially be, now it becomes the tool that the tenant can talk to you more effectively. So it's not that, hey, the light switch in room 5 is not working. You can literally go in, they go into the model, they walk into the space where they're having a problem with that air conditioning or that light switch. They can click and highlight that exact light switch. And the maintenance team can immediately, before coming out, see, oh, that is the part we used. Oh, that's where the waterworks are. That's where the electrics are. So when we come in, we've got to bring this drill to access that point. So the lack of it gets rid of on-site confusion. It gets rid of
Mm.
someone having to come to site, diagnose the problem or diagnose or understand the problem to go away to bring the right tools and selections to come back. So even in the maintenance side and the alignment in the subcontractor, the breakthroughs are staggering.
Yeah, so facilities management is like a
Uh,
game changer by the sound of things.
It,
Yeah,
it, it
massive.
takes the headache out of for the tenants. I must say, the headache out of the building owner or the space owner in how they facilitate and communicate with their tenant more effectively.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
very
just the
cool.
third part is that now the tenant equally has that digital twin that they can pull out so that they can use for their own marketing. They can put that on their
Mm.
website. This is where our offices are. This is where we're at. This is how this operates and works.
Nice. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that my brain will be whirring way after this, thinking of all the other uses, because it does sound like it could be used right down the kind of life cycle of the building, which is great. And I suppose the immediate question that comes to me is like, which professionals are you putting out of work with this? Like, do you work closely with architects and
Yeah,
structural
so
engineers, or does
I had the
this kind
most.
of like
Yeah.
override the need?
So here's it's interesting because well, I actually had this chat with someone, ironically, 20 minutes before this. Is that 80% of architects see this and think this is a total game changer for their business because it allows them, it saves 25 to 40% of their time. So for most developers, they look at this and they go, great, here's a way I can bring my costs down substantially. But when an architect looks at it, they look at it and go, I can charge the same, but I can save a lot of my time, a lot of my professional fees on my back and forth. So they still have to be the accountable party. But we have
Mm,
these two sects. 80% of architects see this and go, you've given me 40% of my time back and I can deliver a better product to my clients. And the other 20% look at this and go, head in the sand, this is less than ideal. I don't, this. I don't know this. I don't get it. I don't want to be near this. And you do have these two different sects. And I think that's with everything. Is that some people embrace technology and go, how can I make this do for me? Do for more for me. If you look at things like when the calculator was invented, it didn't it didn't take away a business for accountants back then in calculating elements. It actually just allowed people to work faster in getting to the answers that they wanted, and it became more efficient. And you've always got these breakthroughs when there's a technological advancement. There's always a little bit of resistance from some, but those who adopt it quickly, the impacts overall about 8 to 11% saving on an average project in terms of costs, time, efficiencies, and yeah. But the architects are definitely they're definitely in the ripple effect of where this
yeah.
plays out.
Yeah, no, I can definitely, yeah, I can see the ones that embrace it going to get an advantage and probably win the work as well, because if they can turn this around quickly, then obviously that's a huge benefit, isn't it?
Then it locks them into other parts of the project that they wouldn't have access to traditionally because they are now communicating with the down channels of the subcontractors and the contractors. But you said that what are hugely impacted. 3D render farms gone because everyone, not only these models are exact same as real life, any scene can be turned into a 3D render at a click of a button. And not just a 3D
Mm,
render, a 4K off the chart, beautiful play of it. So the render farms, interior designers are under a lot of pressure because a lot of those packs or those AI can step in and suggest certain outputs. So again, those who are adopting it are being able to take on more clients and be ahead of the curve, but they are also obviously being affected. But yeah, it's definitely having a lot of. I think it's going to be very disruptive over the next 2-3 years in how it is
yeah,
it's used and plays out.
yeah, because the existing fly-throughs that we can use now, um, if I'm comparing it to what you're saying, like that they feel like they're way behind. So it sounds like you might kind of very quickly kind of uh, go past them in terms of your technological know-how, which is interesting. So, Mike, if I've told you I'm not a tech genius, so
Yes.
if I'm coming to you with a commercial project, I have maybe a mixed use building. I've got you know medium sized building. I've got maybe retail on the ground for 2 or 3 units. Maybe I've got uppers that I probably want to keep as commercial, but I could convert. Talk me through the process. So I come to Meta-dology and I say, right, I've got this project. Kind of talk me through kind of the different stages I would go through.
So the first thing we do is where most of the industry say money down first before you see anything, we're the exact opposite. We're like, let us do something for you. Let's give you something for free and get an experience with us first. So the first thing we do is we'd get your building location and we'd ask you for your architect's plans. And we would set up a follow-up meeting. And so you arrive, and the next thing, we're kicking off the meeting, and you are seeing your own property online. There we walking around, every rip the roof off, we're changing walls, and you suddenly seeing this and you're like, how did they do that? I only sent the model to them yesterday. How is this even done? How is it they got this level of scans? It's not Google Maps. This is the ability to walk the streets, fly around, 20, 30 miles or kilometers around that space. So we start the meeting off showcasing that, and then we go down to one of two commercial propositions. One where we come aboard as a partner, and we do a percentage of sales with you. So your tenants draw down, and we work alongside you. So when you get paid, we get paid, and that is the bulk of how we work with clients, and that is a great impact. It's minimal money down. You're only paying for your servers, but we are in it to win it together, and we tether to each other's success. And we using the data, and we using giving you insights to your marketing, giving you insights to what is working for you, what real estate agents are performing, who are doing the virtual tours better. So that's the one model. And the other model is that you just pay an upfront fee and you go, all good and well. I just want to get this up and about, and we do that. But either which way, it starts with generally a 25-minute demo where we take you through the entire process, and we say this is what it's about. You then are really excited to hand us your location and your architect's plans. And meeting two, we take you through this live demonstration and the commercials that I've just discussed, one of those two commercial propositions. And then what happens is about a week or two later, the client's like, okay, this is a no-brainer to go ahead, let's go. And we then end up working, again, those first 30 days with nothing more than an email, working on the fact that we put together your portal, put together your website, install the CRM to manage the data in the background. And generally 30 days later, you are in market with the ability to do whatever the objective is. If you're in a build phase or a redesign phase, great, we can work with you that. If you're in a needing to align your contractors, your subcontractors, your architect, your engineers, the impact it has there is massive. And then most importantly, for a lot of people to go to market, well, now I've got this all. How do I have as minimal impact on my interest, on my bank drawdown? How do I get the right tenants in early? And the fact that we can start going to market from ideation, so early on in the project is staggering, particularly in some of those bigger flagship type of clients that you want to go after. So yes, we impact all of those. And the fact that we can get there very, very quickly, generally within 30 days on any size, small, medium, or large project is massive. What we are finding is actually more when we got capacity. So we got about a 6-week waiting list right now at any time. We're bringing on about 4 to 6 projects a week across the board. And as fast as we're expanding our team, that capacity is being taken up by the market, just on the nature of how this is operating, working. So it's that's the general model that we work with, and I think that's what makes it so exciting, is that traditionally in property we are so used to these long cycles, 3 months for that, 6 months for that. So you arrive there conditioned to think 1, 2, 3 years down the line, and you're thinking very often about this with a huge amount of risk and a lot of uncertainty in that space. And I think that's one of the most rewarding parts about this, Suzi, is that to jump on with a client who's in some cases betting the farm. They've really had to dig deep. They've had to go to friends and family. They've got investors that they've brought in that they know they've got expectations. And within a week of working with us, the fact that they are seeing their vision in total clarity, all the unknowns gone, all the design oversights picked up and worked around, and the excitement, this gregarious, you see these very stoic business professionals giggling and laughing and saying, look at this, that's money I'm seeing, look at that change, I told you the window had to be 1 foot wider. And this it brings out an excitement that it's so rewarding, Suzi. I tell you, every day is a laugh. Every day has these strange stories that we are talking about. And we create these little highlight reels now of these developer reactions that who go from, again, these non-traditional, non-expressive types bouncing up and down. And I think that's definitely one of the more rewarding parts of what we do.
Lovely. I'd love to see that. Sounds good. And you're right about the property world, especially commercial. It's very slow. It's very traditional. So it needs a bit of disruption, frankly. So I think this is great, because anything that speeds up that process it is fantastic. And I'm just thinking as you were talking that at the moment, a lot of commercials being valued on a vacant possession basis, even if there's a tenant in there, but because the banks are trying to, because we've been in a down market the last 2.5 years in the UK, and because basically banks are trying to hedge their bets and can look at downside risk, so they're kind of saying to their valuers, well, even though there's a tenant in here, I want you to value it as if it's empty, so that I protect my risk. But and so what we have to do as commercial investors is we have to prove to these valuers that this property could be let super quickly. And obviously the best evidence is from the subject property. But if we can have this kind of tech and we can get the property let in half the time, that's got a very real life commercial capital value impact on our projects. And, so anything that helps that is, it's a game changer, definitely. So, Mike, what's the cost model of the tech, and kind of how do you work out the costing? Could you give us kind of some kind of ballpark?
Absolutely, Susie. I think that's one of the greatest parts of our strategy, is that we're really in a land grab stage. So we want to come in as a partner. We know for developers that in the beginning stages, cash flow is tight. You've got to get to the end goal before you land up really reaping your rewards. So we come aboard really as partners on that, and we get a small percentage of the development at the very end of the results. So you're looking normally between 0.5%, maybe 1%, and really what makes us stand out is that the cost savings that we are doing are staggering. On some projects, 8 to 11%. On huge projects, 4 or 5%. So when we come in at a fraction of the rate and only getting paid when they're getting paid, it creates a tremendous value. And for then the other model that we have, that's really for those wanting to go to market and sell, for people who are just looking to do rentals, for people who are looking to get commercial rentals, some of the big office park conversions. Not only can we come in on risk and work alongside them and really be part of their team, but we really going after a listing long-term over here. Our goal right now is to be part of the organization, to assist them in going to market so that we can get a better overall listing value about 30 months from now. Because as you can imagine, every year property values go up. Not only is the property value going up that we're working alongside that developer with, but so is the way tech is being used in this position. So yeah, that's really how we've done it. It's this partnership. They only get, when we get paid, they get paid. When they get paid, we get paid. And the last bit that really I love about this is it creates an alignment around how vested we are in the project and how vested they are in the project, because the faster we all gain success, if we can sell them out faster, if we can get those tenants in more effectively, if we can pick up breakdowns in how they're going to market or parts of their real estate team that aren't performing as well as others, that information immediately becomes apparent. The data speaks volumes, and we can make the adjustments and guide and lead and assist maybe those agents being more effective, redeploy parts of their marketing budget to get the numbers out. So it really is a synergistic partnership.
Love it. So yeah, their success is your success, which is always a good thing. So Mike, thank you so much for joining me. I mean, this is really a great tool, and I'm sure that lots of people listening will be taking you up on it. But how can the listeners get in touch with you? How can they book a demo? Kind of give us some kind of routes to you.
Absolutely, go to Meta-dology.com. That is meta-dology.com. And you'll know you're on the right site, because the moment you get there, you can see all the property and all the excitement around that. But to your point, Susie, the big part about that is the fact that we do demos as part. There's no cost involved. We literally sit down in a meeting with those developers. We show them a little bit what we do, and then we scan their development. and we drag and drop their architectural plans into play so they can see at no cost, no obligation, the art of the possible of where this goes. So definitely, for those of you listening, for those who want to see your world, your development from any angle, flying around it, seeing your neighborhood, ripping the roof off your building to get a better sense of it, this is where to do it. And we'd absolutely, as part of your partnership with this podcast and the show, absolutely look forward to hosting you and take you through the art of the possible of what can be achieved using AI technology and some of the big breakthroughs in where the world of property innovation is going.
Love that. Love that. Fantastic. So we will put all the links in the show notes. Now, Mike and I were talking before we started this podcast, and really, you need to see Meta-dology. I haven't seen it yet, actually, but I will do in a minute, because Mike and I are going to actually jump on a video where Mike's actually going to demo Meta-dology, and we're going to kind of release this on YouTube next to this podcast. So if you're listening to this on all the podcast platforms, obviously it's been great to have you here, but go over to YouTube, Commercial Property TV, and we'll make sure that we put the accompanying video with this podcast so that you can see it. So we'll kind of draw a line of this here, Mike. Great to see you, but we'll get the demo sorted and definitely check that out as well. Thanks for coming along.
Looking forward to it, and lovely being on your show. We'll keep you up to speed as well and keep your listeners abreast of what's happening in the art of technology and this incredible new innovation wave that we're going through at the moment. Thank you for your time today. Love being on your show.
Fantastic. Yeah, great to have you. Thanks, Mike.